Woolly rhinoceros is the common name for an extinct plant-eating rhinoceros, Coelodonta antiquitatis, which lived in Europe and Asia from about 350,000 to 10,000 years ago and was distinguished by two horns on the upper snout and a thick and shaggy coat of hair. With fossils indicating a range spanning northern Europe and eastern Asia, from South Korea to Scotland to Spain, the woolly rhinoceros may have had the most extensive range of any known living or extinct rhinoceros during the late Pleistocene epoch. The woolly rhinoceros appears in early human cave paintings. Humans coexisted with the woolly rhinoceros and most likely hunted them as a food source despite their formidable size and strength, which adds to people's fascination with these creatures today. Along with climate change, humans may have played a role in the extinction of the woolly rhino. However, some habitat areas appear to have been too cold for early humans to cope with in any significant populations. The woolly rhinoceros is an odd-toothed ungulate that belongs to the rhinoceros family, Rhinocerotidae, and is distinguished by its large size and projections or horns on the upper snout. It was native to Eurasia's northern steppes, where it lived during the Pleistocene epoch and survived the last glacial period. The woolly rhinoceros is a Pleistocene megafauna member. The genus name Coelodonta is derived from the Greek for hollow teeth, and the specific name Antiquities is derived from the Latin antiquus, which means old. According to fossils, the woolly rhinoceros was about 3 to 3.8 meters long, 2 meters tall at the shoulder, and weighed up to 3 tons. It had two horns on its snout, the anterior one about a meter long and larger than the one between its eyes. The front and larger horns were also flattened from side to side. Both upper snout projections were epidermal derivatives, consisting of a solid mass of thickly matted hair, keratin, a hair protein that grows from the skull without skeletal support. The woolly rhinoceros was characterized by thick long fur, small ears, short and thick legs, and a stocky body. The fur was made up of two types of hair, a thin, dense undercoat and a long, rigid covering. A wide dark band between the front and hind legs is suggested in cave paintings, but it is not universal in drawings. Rhinoceros identification as woolly rhinoceros is uncertain. Abrasion marks on woolly rhinoceros fossil horns suggest that the horns were used to sweep the snow away from vegetation so the rhinoceros could eat in the winter. The woolly rhinoceros was the last and most arrived member of the Pleistocene rhinoceros lineage, and it was extremely well adapted to its environment. Its stocky limbs and thick woolly pelage suited it to the steppe tundra environment prevalent during the Pleistocene glaciations across the Palearctic ecozone. As the glaciers receded, its geographical range expanded and contracted with the alternating cold and warm cycles, forcing populations to migrate or perish. The body plan of the woolly rhinoceros, like that of the vast majority of rhinoceroses, both living and extinct, followed the conservative morphology seen in the most primitive rhinoceroses, first seen in the late Eocene. The giant unicorn, a giant rhinoceros with a single 2-meter-long horn in the forehead, was a close relative with a more southern range. The woolly rhinoceros, like all extant rhinoceroses, was a herbivore. Controversy has long surrounded the particular dietary preference of Coelodonta, as previous studies have found both grazing and browsing to be plausible. Several lines of evidence have been used to reconstruct the woolly rhinoceros's paleo diet. According to climate reconstructions, the preferred environment was cold and arid steppe tundra, with large herbivores playing an important role in the feedback cycle. Pollen analysis reveals that grasses and sedges predominate within a more complex vegetation mosaic. A strain vector biomechanical examination of the skull, mandible, and teeth of a well-preserved last cold stage individual recovered from Whitemoor Hay, Staffordshire, revealed musculature and dental characteristics consistent with grazing feeding. The enlargement of the temporalis and neck muscles, in particular, is consistent with the resistance required to resist the large tugging forces generated when taking large mouthfuls of fodder from the ground. The presence of a large diastema supports this theory. According to comparisons with extant perissodactyls, Coelodonta was a hinged fermenter with a single stomach and would have grazed on cellulose-rich, protein-poor fodder. This digestion method would have necessitated a high food throughput, which explains the large mouthful size and the low nutritional content of the chosen grasses and sedges. Woolly rhinoceros are thought to have lived in social groups similar to modern forms, either alone or in small family groups. Around 350,000 years ago, the woolly rhino first appeared in the fossil record. Fossils have been discovered in abundance in Europe and Asia, but not in North America, indicating that populations never crossed the Bering Land Bridge. Some fossil discoveries include well-preserved remains frozen in ice or buried in oil-saturated soils. A complete carcass of a female woolly rhinoceros, minus only the fur and hooves, was discovered buried in the mud at Staryuna in Ukraine, with the oil and salt preventing decomposition and allowing the soft tissues to remain intact. The specimen is now on display at the Museum of Natural History of the Polish Academy of Sciences in Krakow. Fossils of 4 woolly rhinos were discovered in an English quarry in 2002, representing one of the best Ice Age discoveries in northern Europe dating back 30,000 to 50,000 years. This discovery included well-preserved plants and insects, and plant material stuck to the teeth of one rhino. The woolly rhinoceros have been depicted on caves' walls in France for over 30,000 years. Woolly rhinoceros coexisted with woolly mammoths and several other extinct large mammals. The woolly rhino roamed much of northern Europe and was common in the cold, arid desert that is now southern England and the North Sea. The North Sea did not exist during Greenland Stadial II because sea levels were up to 125 meters lower than they are today. The radiocarbon dating of woolly mammoths discovered in Siberia indicates that the woolly rhinoceros died out in Siberia between 11,000 and 9,700 years ago. This corresponds to an extinction date of around 8,000 before the Common Era. This date's precision is uncertain because several radiocarbon plateaus exist around this time. The extinction does not coincide with the end of the last ice age, but it does coincide with the Younger Dryas, a minor but severe climatic reversal that lasted about 1,000 to 1,250 years. The Younger Dryas was characterized by glacial re-advances and severe global cooling, a brief interlude in the ongoing warming following the end of the last major ice age. Early humans hunted the woolly rhino, which may have contributed to its extinction. The Sumatran rhinoceros, a close relative, survives in Southeast Asia but is critically endangered.